All right, guys. I'd like to discuss distance, and I think this is something that's very, very important, obviously, and is often sometimes misunderstood. Certainly in grappling, reminds me of angle and striking. Angle is one of those things that every coach says, "Get an angle." I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I remember feeling like that in striking originally, whereas angle is something that we all grasp in jiu-jitsu because it's pretty bold. So here's what I mean. If Adam, turn your back, please. I am square up with Adam. Square up with Adam. And I'm like, all right. Angle. Cool. This is relatively simple to accomplish in grappling because I can lean on somebody and keep them there, and I can lean on him while I was squared up and make my way all the way to side control. And then I can also maintain this angle long form and keep him here for a period of time that goes, oh, angle, I get what you're talking about. You talk to grapplers, everyone gets angle. You talk to grapplers about distance, and a lot of times they don't necessarily grasp it. Whereas if you sit back up for a second, if you scoot back a little, distance is something that everyone in striking gets right from the jump, because if you stand at the wrong one of it, you get cracked right in the teeth. So this, for instance, so my hand can go through his head like T1000. That's really not great for Adam. It's also, oddly enough, not great for me. So distance, what we need to understand about distance in this position, whether it's grappling or striking, it's still a thing in grappling. It's just shrunken, and it's not as obvious because this is a safe range in grappling, and it feels as if this is where you want to be. Whereas in striking, this is obviously dangerous, and I need to give myself some more space. Distance in grappling is something that I wouldn't say it's good or bad. Distance simply is. Because now when I say this is dangerous, I'm thinking of that from a self-preservation perspective. I'm thinking of that from like, oh man, I'm in here, and the hands and feet and knees and elbows and headbutts and spitting can all hit me. But oddly enough, if I'm close up to hit or be hit, I'm close up to hit. But at the same time, if I'm close up to hit, I'm close up to be hit. So distance simply is. And this is something that I hear a lot in grappling, and I believe is misunderstood. People say sometimes that like the purpose of my frames is to maintain space in grappling. Let's say, for instance, I'm using my guard, whether it's inside the Rahiva or something like that, or 50-50 even, and I'm like, yeah, I want to maintain space. That's not true. Full stop, that's wrong. What I want to do is sometimes maintain space, sometimes get close. Generally speaking, and this is almost, I say generally speaking because there may be a minor exception, but for the most part, when you are attacking, you are closing space, you're eating space up. When you are defending, you are expanding space. Now, this may happen very, very quickly. So sometimes it can appear like someone created space and attacked, when in reality, they created space for a moment and then shifted quickly. So here's what I mean. If Adam's, let's say, in butterfly guard and I'm tied up and I'm like, man, I'm having a hard time here, I can't get through his frames, I may create a little bit of space and then re-attack to get closer to him. My initial move was actually defensive. That was not one guard passing motion. That was two distinct things. That was no different than, can I borrow your second? Adam grabs my wrist, and rather than going through it, I'm like, get off me, and then I do something. If you see that done really quick, it almost looks like, take that, like a hand trap motion. When in reality, the first thing that I did was a defensive motion. The second thing that I did was an aggressive motion. The way that you're able to divine or determine all of that is that when I'm attacking, I'm eating up space. When I'm defending, I'm creating it. So the purpose of my frames, the purpose of my guard, the purpose of 50-50 is not to create space, nor is it to take away space. It is both of those. Distance, again, simply is. It can be your ally or it can be your enemy, depending upon how it's all going down. So if we come back for a moment and we started 50-50, this is yet another reason that I think it's really dumb to sit here. And I spent a lot of time doing this in grappling when I was, more of a beginner, and you can be a beginner and still get ADCC at a certain point. But basically, I'm not really able to dictate how much room is going on here, because I don't have a whole lot of base. I don't have a little ability to move my feet, and neither does Adam really. We can lean back and far away from each other, but even if you lean back, let's see, come back over here, because I can just slide around your frames. This isn't helping you a whole great deal. Now let's see if we can add a little bit of extra space. If you turn long, go sideways, get this wall in between me and you. Get up on your left shoulder, please. Turn it all the way long. I'll show you what I mean if we come back. I've created more space. Can you reach me, please? This isn't necessarily the best way to do this whole deal, Because if Adam's down, I can create even more space, as we explained repeatedly, by getting up. Reach my face now. Not happening. Now, if I want to attack him, though, being this far away is counterproductive. So you're going to see later on in the series just how all of the techniques kind of come into focus. But if we come back to right hand, please, we just lay on over here. I'm like, all right, I'm up. I would like to attack. Allow me to close distance. I can't get my leg out. I closed too much distance. I smothered my own attack. I slide in, I step my foot. I'm now closing space. Now, maintaining space is not in my interest. However, we could have the same thing going on from a guard scenario, and this happens constantly. The vast majority of people that go to the berimbolo and go to the crab ride, in my experience, are maintaining a ton of space, which is actually helping the top player. So if Adam, could you, let's say we go crab for a second. What are these things doing right now?
Right now, they're keeping my connection with your legs.
Are they really? Take them away. How do you feel?
I feel like I still have your hips.
Which means that they're not keeping your connection with me at all. They're just there. Do me a favor, keep those things here. Get up.
I can't. I need to get a foot on the ground, or I need you to pull me up.
Exactly. Most people are screwing this up, and they'll sink back and they'll give this to you, or they'll fall forward and give this to you, or they'll put their back on the mat. But again, what I need to understand in any of these situations, and I know this is a little bit general, is that distance is helping whomever it is that needs to protect himself at that time. Which means that if I have a hand on Adam and I'm trying to get close to him and I'm trying to attack him with grappling, I am absolutely not acting in my own self-interest. I'm acting in his. Now I'm acting in my own self-interest. So when strikes come into play, drop on top, and that's the other thing. Sitting in butt. This all seems kind of cool, mostly because most people don't pass guard well, and they don't wrestle well, and they don't defend their legs well, so this seems like a safe thing and a good idea, only because we're skill deficient. But hit me. Crap me one, I'll lift. It'd be funny, I know you want to do it, don't hit my dick. Hit like a man. That stings. I will hit you so hard, like I will stick you in the teeth from up here. It's a huge difference in my ability to generate force. But initially, keep me away. Notice how Adam's turned long and brought his body into a line. I'm going to have a really significant difficulty getting close to him. So now distance is your what? Your enemy or your ally?
Ally.
He's your ally because he's making space. However, do some grappling stuff from there.
It's very difficult.
Why?
Because I'll have to leave my shoulder.
Why?
Because I can't maneuver when I'm up here. I can only maintain this line.
I can maneuver when I'm up there, but you're too far away.
For me to maneuver?
I'd say you're too far away no matter what maneuvering you do.
Yeah, like I feel like I can move here, but I can't move in a way that's actually going to attack you.
Why is that?
Because I need to get either close to that leg or close to the backside of your body.
So is it that you're on your shoulder, or is it that you're too far away?
Too far away, and I'd say also just, I'm limited in my range when I'm up here.
Fair enough. No question. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. But could you put yourself kind of where your hand? Put your shoulder over there. How do you feel now?
Well, I feel much closer.
You're on your shoulder, but you're close. So now all of a sudden he can do stuff. Now, oddly enough, so can I. So if you go to Nogi Worlds this weekend, if you spend your time watching the vast majority of the matches, which I, generally speaking, what I do is I pour some paint on the wall and I watch it dry. Basically, you're going to see a bunch of this, which neither of us can do anything because we're both too far away. We're not at grappling range, we're at striking range. The trick in mixed martial arts or in a fighting context is recognizing that we can go back and forth quickly between these ranges. And I have to understand the principle of the idea of distance is that simply when there's a great deal of it, it's helping the defensive guy. When there's not a whole lot of it, it's helping the offensive guy. Make sure you're using that to your benefit whenever you possibly can.